Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mindfully Gay podcast. I'm Jerry, joined by my co-hosts John and Cole, who's filling in for Nick. Today, we're thrilled to have a very special guest, Charles Lawrence, a shaman and healer, here to explore the depths of spiritual transformation with us. So sit back, relax, and let's get mindful. So welcome to our podcast on Mindfully Gay. We have two guests, reoccurring guest Cole, who is joining us. Nick is not feeling well today, and so we've invited Cole to come join us. And he's also met our guest star. This is a friend of mine I've known for 25 years. This is Charles Lawrence, who lives in New York. He is one of my elders, teachers, mentors throughout the years. We fondly refer to him as the Wiz, short for wizard. And because he's a very magical person, he has traveled the world and worked with shamans in Peru, Bolivia, Africa, Tuva,
up in the Arctic Circle,
Greenland, Iceland, many native communities, the Hopi, the Salish. And again, he didn't just have casual relationships. These are intimate connections that he has with people around the world. And actually was introduced me to my first trip to Peru.
That's right.
Back in the 1800s. Right after they discovered Machu Picchu, Charles and I showed up and had a great time there. So I'm excited. Charles is in town for a ceremony we're doing. This young man is on the threshold of turning 90. And
lucky bastard.
And most people cannot keep up with him.
No.
So it's exciting. This will be a little bit different podcast because what I anticipate, knowing Charles as a teacher and a mentor, that when he hears the bait, he'll take it and he will take us into a process. And, part of the formula of Mindfully Gay is this transparency and willingness to kind of do our work out loud, inviting other people to come and join us. And so I'm excited to have Charles here and to capture this moment. And anything you want to add on your resume of?
No need to add the resume. That's sufficient.
Okay.
Right away, a thought comes to mind. So how have you specifically defined mindful?
And we didn't rehearse that.
This is free flowing.
That was not on the script.
All right, because
you caught us.
What does that really mean? Does that mean you're becoming awake? You're becoming conscious? Something's happened, and therefore you move out of the realm of default into a world of deliberateness, deliberate intent, deliberate mindful. Really, what does that mean? Mindful. It means something for everybody.
Well, we had the original name of Queer Spirit, which we established that name years ago, and when we were seeing kind of this reemergence of that experience, we were struck with feedback that both the words queer and spirit were words that seemed off-putting. It didn't seem inviting to some people, and so we thought, well, let's find something else. We went through some different names. We landed on mindful or mindfully gay. I'm borrowing it from just my work in yoga. And for me, mindful is being present, being in the moment, being right here, being right now, however you are, whoever you are, and accepting that space right now. And if you can get into the subtleties of who you are and what you are in that moment, that's what I see as mindful, that true connected feeling. And so putting that word next to gay, the same thing. If I identify as gay, as I do, then I want to do that mindfully. I want to do that wholeheartedly with my whole body, my whole mind, my whole spirit. and know the subtleties of my own gayness, the what it means to be gay presently. What maybe from the influences of my past or other people's past, but what does it mean to me now? Yeah.
My interpretation was like the spin I put on it in my head when I heard the title was that it was a way for us to come together as a tribe
Yeah.
and figure out all of the nuances of why we act and why we present in certain ways because we are gay. Why do we do? Where does this stuff come from? Why are some gay men feminine, some gay men masculine, some why are all the things that people stereotypically throw at you, and all the things having to do with identifying why we think and why we do the stuff that we do. I was like, I want to get into the meat of all of that. Like, I like to know why it is that my preferences are what my preferences are. And where that came from, and if it came from, oppression, or if it came from just experience, and I like the idea of being mindful about it and thinking about it, and so, well, why do you think that way, and why do you not like this, or why do you like that? I like to. That was what excited me, picking it all apart like that.
Yeah.
Well, for me, dovetailing in here, in that place of being mindful and present, how much joy and pleasure is there in the breath, in being? Because if we remain in our heads, we're trapped in eidetics, we're trapped in self-constructs and memory. When we get down into the body, we can be present.
Yeah.
It's not up in the head. The head is a dissociated place. Being here, and then there's a huge spectrum, because a little ticky-tacky white world has minimized or reduced. So, like, you go to the Navajo Nation, the spectrum from so-called male to female, right? It's huge. I've been sent to other nations and the Polynesian world, and there's a whole cautiousness, because the level of, well, you want to call it the Aumakua in the Polynesian tradition, the Great Spirit, is presenting itself as giving itself various experience to each individual.
Yeah. I know when I lived in Hawaii, I think I was probably 20 at the time. My brother and family lived out there. I met this guy, a gay boy, very feminine, very, attractive. And I remember just being shocked that he wanted me to, I met him once, and he wanted me to come to his house for Sunday dinner and meet his mother and grandmother and family. And, I didn't really know anyone, and I thought, what the hell? I went over his house, and their whole, they were just totally 100% accepting with the fact that he's been a fun boy. He likes guys, and, in our culture, it's okay. And we encourage him to go in that direction if that's the direction that he wants to go in. It blew my mind. I'd never experienced anything like that, where a whole family extended, and even the culture was like, yeah, that's it. That's the way they are.
Yeah.
It was really great. It was
Right on. So I want to do a check-in. What are you feeling right now? We just launched into this. What's happening in here?
I'm excited. I'm excited. The other night when we talked, I had a great time talking to you, bouncing ideas and going back and forth, and everything that they told me about you rang through. So I'm just excited that you guys wanted me to be part of this podcast. So I'm going with the flow.
Excited is all?
Excited. Introspective, curious. Yeah.
You're getting nuances in all of this. Rather than just be so simplistic, one, no, ferret it out, contextualize. And that's when I find that our biofield wakes, mine just begins to fire.
Yeah.
The more subtleties that come in, and then everybody's breathing differently or not. And whether are they in a state of spiritual anorexia? Those who don't breathe are depriving themselves of life.
Yeah.
I feel excitement And when you just mentioned that, it's like, well, what else? What else is it? I feel what is that excitement? I feel a vibration or just something. I want to move. It makes me want to move.
Yes. The animal body gets involved.
Yeah. And in that movement, what it allows me to do, especially with this podcast and even just having this conversation, even if we weren't recording this, if we were just having conversation, because we stirred something up, I feel that vibration, and I get to this opportunity to form some words around it. Like, well, if I'm just kind of feeling it, how would I then express it in words? And if I was to explain it or share it or talk about it to someone, now I get to kind of play with that idea. Like, how would I talk about this?
And I just found my body leaning in. That energetic wanting to engage more in the form of spiritual intimacy.
Yeah.
Vibrationally into.
This is not my natural body language, by the way. There's no arms here for me, so I feel this. But I'm not usually close up like that. I have a bum shoulder.
I was wondering about that.
Just in case. I know this is all about the analytics.
We're watching you.
Again, and then the nuances as we go deeper and deeper into this, the core of what's happening today, we'll get spun out differently. And then take with us whatever's transformed inside of us today.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We cannot be who we were when we came in the door, or you weren't here for what happened.
Right.
Here I was just coming into this group to make some connections and meet some friends and to just really kind of find a tribe,
I love that.
like a tribe of the mind. You know what I mean? People that I can talk to and that I can relate to and find friends with. Little did I know that it could help me get unstuck with grief or drama or stuff that you're holding on to that's getting you down. I didn't realize that there was something out there to help me in other ways other than just making friends and having a good time. And I feel like I have gained some. I hate to keep using the word spirituality, but that's really what it is. There's no other real words out there, right? It's not religiosity. It's not worship. It is regaining some spirituality that I've lost. I mean, Catholicism was a massive part of my life growing up. The cathedral was 50 feet across the street from my house, and my whole family was involved in it. But I wasn't involved in it to find my way towards God. I was just involved in it because it was a cultural thing. But I never really got anything spiritual out of that. I was taught how to do your basic prayers and stuff like that. But these guys have taught me that there's a way to not just have to pray and speak to your ancestors individually. You can pray to them as a group. I never even thought of that. And to me, that's such a great concept that, I can pray to my mother and my grandmother or my grandmother, grandfather, my uncles, my family that passed, like collectively in a nice way. Because I've always felt like I had to do it individually or else it wasn't being as considerate. So I don't know, for that one, that's a big thing for me. That's helped me.
I hear that.
It's interesting. I think it was the very first podcast where we talked about the Ancestral Council.
Yeah.
And I was having a conversation with the guys in the first podcast where we talked about connecting to our ancestral lineages and the ancestors that are there for us. And I don't know, and it lit Nick on fire. He's like, oh my gosh, like I have an ancestral council I can rely on. Like, it was just something that's
a cool
that
concept.
he grabbed onto very quickly too. And I want to say what mindful is.
Yeah,
and my emotion,
What's on your mind?
We spell along here.
So I've known Charles for a long time. I know how he works, and so when you were going to ask me how, when you were going to ask how I was feeling, I was going to say I can't breathe. No, because there is a part of me I'm very conscious of, like there's this part of me that wants to be protective of you, of them. This has been such a critical part of my life that, so it's like, I notice my solar plexus are kind of tight and I feel like, how's this going to work? And then as you're kind of weaving the magic, I'm finding myself kind of relaxing into that. But the reason I wanted to go back and mention my thought about mindfulness is, to me, and we just had this conversation on one of the podcasts, right, about this deliberate process of intention. And I think in many cases in our queer gay community, people's sense of identity is happening by default about what I think the other wants me to do.
Right.
And to me, mindfully gay is an opportunity for us to individually and independently engineer and be mindful, be connected to the outcome of our lives.
And part of it I see is learning to navigate by us being in a group, like the big group that we had,
Yeah.
and just talking and commiserating and comparing our stories and how we perceive things.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's the part of the mindfulness that I really look.
And
I think
that's
is valuable.
Yeah.
That's been it seems to be a hot topic for some of us. The more we can sit in circles and really be, for many people, there's a cautiousness because if I let out too much, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
And so you're also negotiating that. You can't quite tell who's ready to pop or who's not.
Yeah.
But there's this gradual sense, in my story, the gradual sense of feeling safe.
Yes.
And then trusting it's incremental.
Yeah.
It grows and grows. And then again, what quality of tribe, just not a blanket issue. What quality, we got specific. And the more refined we are, the clearer we are, we know what feeds us and what doesn't feed us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely felt that. I felt exactly what you said. I felt like I was a little bit like this at first, and then slowly, and I felt more comfortable, and I feel like I'm a pretty good judge of character. I can read people in a room pretty well. And, I started to feel more comfortable, and then at one point, did you see that?
Mm-hmm. A big old bird just flew right towards the window.
Right, I'm sorry, I forgot what I was about to say.
While you're reading people and...
Oh,
The retreat.
The retreat?
Yeah.
Retreat, you're reading people getting more comfortable.
Yeah, and then I felt like, okay, I do feel comfortable. Okay, some of what these guys are saying to me rings true, but my doubt and my doubt of the whole hocus pocus stuff, for lack of a better term, made me, it made it a little more difficult for me to get relaxed enough. But then it clicked on me, and I'm like, this is a fucking waste of time unless I'm so honest, unless I really say what's on my mind and, intellectually stand there naked. And, what's the point?
Yeah.
Don't waste, I don't want to waste your time or your time or anyone else with a, disingenuous vibe or something. So it was tough, but I'm at that point now where I'm thinking, no, there's certain things I don't want to say that maybe people that know me don't know and stuff like that. But I'm thinking at this point, fuck it. I really can't. This is an exercise not only for me, but for people around me that I love, that I don't, want to have them experience me in a stuck place or in a bitter place. So, to me, it's worth the roll of the dice.
Yeah.
And so far, so great.
Something I might add, and it relates to this too, just you mentioned just that level of trust, honesty, just being open. There was, it sounds like for you, Cole, that there was, you were able to open up a little bit, but there was still a little, hesitancy. But now you're saying, oh, I can just be me and just be open and authentic and just be myself. And I'm stepping back a little bit and thinking, well, because I know you've asked this to us before the podcast. Well, where is Mindfully Gay going? And I'm also thinking, so what's our role? What's our role in Mindfully Gay? And something that just clicked for me is like, I haven't seen Charles in many years, but he's still the exact same person I knew years ago, where you have this presence that's inviting and open, and I think it sets a tone in a space and an energy wherever you happen to be. Like, we had dinner the other night together, and it felt like you were like the host, where you were just open, and it just allowed us to be open as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping that we're doing the same thing, like with the podcast.
I think we are. It seems like we are.
I hope so, and I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
Because, Jerry joked earlier about that's not in the script. Well, as I hope you guys know, this is not scripted. Right? That it's
a hell of a lot easier if it was.
This just comes out authentically. We just see where it rolls, see where it goes.
Yeah.
We're creating a space where we, here's a topic. Let's just see where it goes, and just kind of open our minds, open our bodies to this. And then it was really Cole's idea you guys should have free events for people to come to, so that people can come together and talk and be themselves and all of that. And that's what we've done. And I think our space there, or our intention there, is to create a safe space
and to help each other.
Right.
Yeah.
To help people. Like, for me, it's about trying to help people navigate how difficult it is to, when you're gay, to find love as opposed to sex, because so many people get the two confused. And I know it's common sense, and I know that that's the reality. Love and sex are different things, but you'd be shocked at how many people just don't get it and don't get how to interact with another person in these settings. Back in the day, before the apps, people would go out to a bar, and you'd meet in the bar, and it's a roll of the dice, who liked what, you go home, and that's it. And that was a false economy too.
Yeah.
The apps are just as bad, but good at the same time, because in the apps, if you know what you're doing, you just spell out exactly what you want, what you like, what you don't like. But that also puts stuff. It doesn't leave that excitement there, that titillation, because you already know exactly what's going on, and then people just start going through like they're shopping, and no one takes the time to stop and get to know someone or be honest with them, and then they get jaded and burnt because I'm not attractive and everyone just blocks me or is rude to me. And I kind of was hoping that there's some way we could create a dynamic with talking to a bunch of gay men that would help them to look at each other and realize that it's really tough for us. It sucks being oppressed. It sucks. So why not be nice to each other? Why not foster that tribal thing like I see with the Tongans and what's the other group in Hawaii that I just Samoans, yeah. So they have each other's back. Always, no matter what. I tell the story. I went out to a bar with my two brothers in Hawaii, and we were drinking and having fun. And he has a bunch of Samoan friends, and this one of their friends was about to get into an argument. They stood up the chairs. They were chest to chest. Every single one of the Samoan people there, men and women, all got up. They didn't even know this guy from Honolulu. They got up and they just all stand behind him, wanting to make sure that everything was okay, and they had this guy's back. And I thought, that is a tribe. That is something, that gives me goosebumps. That to think that, gay and bi and transgender people could get together and protect each other in that way.
Well, that's a part of our discussion since I got here, the sense of belonging.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, essentially,
sense of belonging.
Yeah.
I'm going to switch gears a tiny bit because I I'm curious to see what everyone's take is going to be on this. But Charles and I have been talking literally for a year now. People will come to a retreat, or they'll come to a sweat lodge, or maybe even a yoga class, and people say, "Oh my gosh, that was so transformative," right? And so we've been having this discussion about, well, what is transformation? And there's some other kind of language attached to that concept, but the umbrella of what we've been talking about has been, what is transformation? And I was telling Charles, I said, I think at the retreat, I was able to witness transformative moments. Like, I think some people had a catalyst. I think some people had transformative experiences. And, but we keep coming back to, well, what is transformation? Like, what qualifies it? What quantifies that concept?
And it's you're trying to break it down as to what that actually is. That's what you're saying?
Yeah. What might
it's a metaphor of some sort.
Yeah.
That contains a lot's there. But to open it up and do some sorting. Again, the nuances here.
I guess for me, I mean, I don't know whether it was transformation or not, but I definitely felt, I keep using that thing, like I felt like I was in a river. I am a river, and in the center of my chest was a dam, and it was all a dam of grief. And it was there for so fucking long that it just, put me in the worst place, to the point where recently I was like, I didn't care about anything. And so having that dam break and being able to, get my emotions out was transformative for me. Yeah. So for me, that was what I imagine the meaning of transformation is. I transformed from a person that was essentially, I don't give a fuck if I'm dead or alive. I don't care. I just want to stay in bed, to a person that was like, wow, oh my God. Thank God. Thank God. I didn't think I was ever going to get out of it. I described it to my partner as feeling like I was in the middle of the ocean at night, treading water. And now I feel like, oh my God, I'm on the beach. It's a sunny day. I'm going hiking. I feel like $1 million.
Was it framed for you that going into the lodge is going back in the womb? You're crawling back, because it also affects the whole neural system.
No, but it wasn't said, but that's kind of what it felt like.
Yeah.
It was hot and steamy and dark, and it
crawl
felt
in,
like
you crawl out.
Yeah, it was very, you're right. That's the symbolism is
it's addressing.
I think the opening should be shaped like this, I think. Not like this.
Well, we have the door.
I'm saying maybe it should be shaped like that.
Because it's informing us on an unconscious level.
Yeah.
And I know all my native friends that I've spent all these decades, they know they're going back in the mother's womb.
I mean, I had not been, that's not that, but it makes, that's
and then
a
you're
great
coming
analogy.
out reborn.
Yeah. Well, with the little medicine packets and the dolls, I got it then. So making what are the dolls specifically called?
Dolls.
Cucina or something like that. Or
that was just an exercise. That
exercise was really powerful for everyone in that circle. I saw what they wrote on their dolls and what I wrote and what they drew and stuff like that. And they were all negative, these things.
So let me give context. So at the retreat, we gave everyone a blank doll, just blank. And the assignment was the ritual part of it. The part of it that's the actual ritual from Melanoma was the fire ritual. And that is making an offering to the fire, handing the issue off to the ancestors, and knowing that they reciprocate by helping us let go.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It was like a give and take.
So the Tao represented the offering. The tobacco represented the offering. And the Tao represented some aspect of myself that I recognized holding me back, that I was now ready to give to the ancestors and to release. And that's what he's talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the doll in the fire. And then all of these positive contemplative prayer ties around my neck. And so it was like those were the offering as I came out. right? So I thought about that stuff while I was in there after exercising basically that doll out of my system.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mhm.
I thought that helped. That definitely that work, the physical work of doing that
Mm.
was very helpful.
Yeah. Well, that to me is, well, then it's an awakening. You talk about being more mindful what you're doing. You're putting intention there, and you can apply that in so many levels of self.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful gift to be into it. And again, the more intricate, the more nuanced, we're waking up to the multidimensional self that we are.
Mm-hmm. It feels like an extraction. That's one word that popped up, because other words I use are shift or change, some recognition of a different part of myself. And with Lodge and how you're explaining it too, it's, we go in with our intentions, our prayers, and we have this steam, we have the fire, we have the darkness, and our prayers and the song, all to be used to help extract. In yoga, and when I'm teaching yoga, and even mindfulness meditation, and in movement, I'm suggesting to people or offering, inviting people to check in with yourself. How do you feel now? Is there something that no longer serves you? Whether it's guilt or anger or depression or something that just feels weighted on you. And think of it as a weight. And that maybe this breath work or this movement will help to lighten the load. Because I know that's what I feel in Lodge. Like I'm handing over that weight, extracting that thing or things that don't work for me anymore. And interestingly enough, the two life experiences for me that I really felt that really weren't that, I don't know, maybe they were spiritual, but one was where I really felt this. I took a long time to finish my doctoral degree. And that meant, the research and all this dissertation stuff. And I got to the point where I had to defend my dissertation in front of my teachers and all of that. And they signed it off, and I get to graduate. Up until that moment, I felt this weight on my shoulders. Like, I've got to get this done. I don't even know if I'm going to get it done. Do I want to do it? And I felt like I could do nothing else. It's like, oh, I want to go, on vacation somewhere. It's like, no, I shouldn't do that because I really need to do this. So I had this weight on my shoulders. But when I finished that and got signed off and I got to graduate, that weight lifted. And it's hard to explain, but it was as if none of that had ever happened.
That's right.
It was like I didn't endure. It was like all that weight in the work or whatever, that whole process of getting to that point of graduating, it was like it never happened. It's almost like a memory that got wiped. It's hard for me to recall that whole process of getting to that. Yeah. All I felt now is this lightness, and now I can move forward.
Yeah.
And the other is I fell in love with someone. This was just a few years ago. And I was heartbroken when they said, no, it's not going to work. Because I felt so invested. And I just fell into this deep sadness and depression. And thinking, I'm never going to have anyone. I don't want to have anybody. And it felt like I was never going to come out of that space. Yeah. It was so hard and it was so dark. It was just so heavy. But it seemed like with that situation, I just had to experience that. I just had to be in that sadness.
You have to. And your heart absolutely scabs over.
Yeah.
And then it feels really amazing again. And the great thing about there's something great about a breakup. The number one great thing about having experienced love and falling out, the fact that you actually were in love, and
yes.
you got to have that
Right.
inside of you. It doesn't matter if it's someone else,
Mm-hmm.
whatever is it,
Something
but
woke up.
just the fact that you experienced love
Right on.
is worth having your heart ripped out and stepped on
Mm-hmm.
and scabbed over, and because it does happen again. I've been I've been in love 3 times. I'm fortunate to say that I've been in love 3 times, and I would never even know or want to appreciate what it was had I not at least experienced the first time when it sucked and I got my heart ripped out too.
Right.
So that's a good thing.
Oh.
You grew from that.
In the transformation, it wasn't something that I did, like I went to a lodge or I did I went to therapy or anything. It just seemed like I just had to be with that and honor it, I guess. Just be with it, because eventually there was a coming out of that.
Yeah.
I guess I just knew there will be another side. There is the other side to this.
Yeah.
But for now, I'm just here.
And John, what comes for me in these decades of this journey, then we have the capacity to recapitulate. Go back to when you were in that place. Visit that part of ourselves. Don't abandon that part. Yeah, we moved on. But again, I've learned over these decades of going back and really being with that. It's not therapy. It's not fixing anything.
Right.
And when you spoke of you were birthed when all the professors checked out. A whole new self got to come out.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of Maslow's work, and we can connect. There's also different traditions that have you can use the tobacco side. So make a whole link of peak experiences and wear that. That's a symbol of a level of power.
Wow.
And then for me, I noticed that in this circle, the thinking is put out a lot. Everybody's thinking. And I'm a feeler. I'm feeling all of this. That's what I feel so engaged with this. But when we really get out of this here and bring it down into our heart, we're vibrational, chemical beings, no matter what the labels they put on us. Yeah. And then the uniqueness of each journey, because who knows at what level there's a gold inside, as Michael Meade talks about. He's waiting to be retrieved. We can't do it in our heads.
No. Yeah, we can think about it all we want, but like you said, we stay trapped in that.
Yeah.
And what good is it doing to us?
Yeah.
It's not like it's even there.
Yeah.
It's not even there. It's just a past thought memory.
Yeah.
So what do? Do you sit there in the past and commiserate with each other and wrestle over it and ruminate? Or do you reflect and learn, like you said?
I want to give an example. Go ahead.
Well, I was just want to, we talk about how we each bring in a particular vibrational energy or connectedness. And I'm thinking, again, we've talked about this, like, it always boggles my mind a little bit about like how we came together.
Yeah, how did this happen?
California, Boston.
Who's organizing all this? Orchestrating, organizing.
But what's interesting is I know there are times when I've reached out to these 2 guys or Nick or other people in my life, not because I'm just becoming aware of this, not because I think they know something that I don't know. But I feel like what they bring vibrationally through their lived experiences, their ability to empathize in those places, is what facilitates ambition, facilitates some kind of direction. And so I think what you just said just kind of clued something in, because I'm thinking, you guys are smart and everything, but I'm just saying, I think
you tapped into the energy of the vibe.
Yeah. It's like,
I know I can talk to this guy.
Tools. Yeah. And what I need is somebody that can help stir my spirit in the trajectory of where I need to go, which is something I already know I need to do. But I trust that they can hold that container. And I think that's for instance, or I anticipate when we get the retreats together, right? And we have a community of 16 people, right? If you think about how the dynamics of the retreat played out, right? Again, nobody offered any wisdom that we didn't already carry, but there was a process of confirmation. There was a process of understanding and empathy. There was a process of, we see you in this future. So what we offered each other was more of this energetic vibration than it was any kind of academics, scholarly, cultural baggage.
And empathy. I felt a ton of empathy for some of the stories and struggles and stuff that I saw that other people weren't even aware of in themselves. Yeah. And I felt like this real deep empathy that made me want to be a better man by being a nicer person or being considerate of the people's feelings around me and not jumping to conclusions in my head or being bitchy or pigeonholing someone based on how they act, because now I see why people act certain ways as I get older. It's not necessarily out of bitterness or whatever. It could be out of naivete or just out of rote stuff in your head. So I feel like I'm at a place now where I'm a little over empathetic for people, but it's a wonderful feeling. Instead of feeling like anger or being jaded or being, what the fuck is that? What is that supposed to mean? I'm not like that anymore. That's there if I need it in an awkward situation, but I don't feel like I don't feel that, not anger, but that just frustration anymore.
You're here.
So,
thank you for joining us today on the Mindfully Gay podcast. We hope you found insights into embracing your emotions and the power of healing circles. Remember, this journey is about finding your true essence. Be sure to tune in next week for the continuation of our conversation with Charles. Until then, stay mindful and keep embracing your true self. Are you a man struggling to balance your spirituality and sexuality while facing societal expectations of masculinity? Seeking your truest expression? Join Totally You, a transformational retreat in the wilds of Costa Rica from January 24th to 30th, 2025. Let go of expectations, find deeper meaning, and learn to live life on your terms with purpose, confidence, and fulfillment. On this retreat, you'll integrate sexuality, spirituality, and intimacy, discover your life's purpose, create vulnerable and meaningful relationships, cultivate strong relationships, embark on a journey of self-discovery. Imagine returning home with newfound clarity, quiet confidence, and the tools to navigate life's challenges. This retreat is just the beginning of your transformative journey. Get $500 off with the discount code EARLYBIRD until July 31st. Visit www.menstravelretreats.com to learn more.